Hello and welcome to Right Sports Talk. My name is Zach. I know it's been a few weeks since I've recorded, but I've been life's been busy, but I have time to record now, so I want to get into my Week 17 NFL picks. So although I did not have not been recording the past few weeks, I have been making picks. Last week I went 150. Or sorry, last week I went 13-3, giving me an overall record of 156-83 with my picks. So let's start getting into Week 17. Week 17 kicks off this Thursday with three Christmas games. So I want to say Merry Christmas to anybody that celebrates. So let's get into these Christmas games. So we've got three divisional matchups, which at the beginning of the season looked like they were going to be really good, really solid matchups. That's not so much the case anymore, but I'll get into that as I go over each game. First off, you have the Dallas Cowboys, who are 6-8-1, coming off of a loss to the LA Chargers last week, taking on the Washington Commanders, who are 4-11, coming off of a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles last week. The Commanders are a very beat up football team. Not only are they without Jaden Daniels, who has gone in and out of the lineup this year with injury, he was ruled out for the rest of the year. Before last week's game, or with his elbow injury that he's been dealing with the past few weeks. So Marcus Mariota started against the Eagles. Well, Marcus Mariota is injured, and now they're down to Josh Johnson to start this game. Josh Johnson, the perennial journeyman NFL quarterback. He's bounced around the league bounced around multiple leagues since 2008, been on a bunch of different NFL teams. So he is very experienced. But I don't know how much he does to really help the Commanders this week, especially this week, getting his first start of the season. For the Cowboys, their offense has looked tremendous. They did have stumble a little bit this past week against the Chargers. Their defense has actually been very much improved over the past month or so, since basically the addition of Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams did not play this past Sunday. I don't know if he's going to play this week, but I don't really know if his absence or being in the lineup will make that much of a difference for the Cowboys this week. I do think the Cowboys get the victory. I think that going up against the Commanders, led by Josh Johnson, I think this defense should look pretty good. Going against third string quarterback, I think this Cowboys offense should have a very good game against this kind of weaker, also pretty beat up Commanders defense. So I think the Cowboys win this divisional matchup. Next up, you have the Detroit Lions, who are 8-7, coming off of a very close loss. Very exciting game last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who are coming off of actually a very close victory in a kind of slugfest, not very exciting game against the New York Giants. The Vikings, another team dealing with injury. J.J. McCarthy is ruled out for this game with a hand injury, so it's going to be undrafted free agent rookie Max Brosmer getting the start. This will actually be Brosmer's second start of the season. His first start came against the Seattle Seahawks earlier in the year, in which he did not look great. Maybe he can look better against this Lions defense, which is not as good as that Seahawks defense. That's to be seen. For the Lions, they are still playing for a playoff spot. They have to win out to make the playoffs since they lost to the Steelers this past week, and they have to hope for a Packers loss at some point in there. Detroit Lions team, their offense still looked good. Jahmyr Gibbs had actually a bit of a down game against the Steelers. But I think this offense can get clicking against this Vikings team. I think this Lions defense should have a pretty good game against Max Brosmer, who is very inexperienced, as he is, a rookie quarterback that's only started in one game this year. So just give me the Detroit Lions to win this football game. I think their offense can play well and put up points. I think their defense can stop this Vikings offense. Now moving on to the Christmas night game, you have the Denver Broncos, who are 12-3. Coming off of a loss where they got beat pretty handily by the Jacksonville Jaguars, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 6-9, coming off of a loss to the Tennessee Titans. It's the Chiefs where Patrick Mahomes 2 weeks ago tore his ACL, or 2 games ago tore his ACL. Gardner Minshew started the game against the Titans. He went out with a knee injury, which does not appear to be an ACL tear. But it is a knee injury that he will be out for this game, so it's going to be Chris Oladafe. pronounce his name, their third string quarterback, against this very, very good Denver Broncos defense. In addition to their quarterback injuries, the Kansas City Chiefs have put both wide receiver Rashee Rice and Tyreek Thornton on season-ending injury reserve. So that's two of the receivers they don't have. I believe their two starting corners are also in place on injured reserve. So this team is very much beaten up. This is a game that even just a little over a month ago looked like it could be a very exciting game with the Chiefs trying to compete for a playoff spot and the the Broncos trying to keep their hopes for the division alive. Now it looks very lackluster with all the Chiefs' injuries and with how good the Broncos are playing. So I do think the Broncos win this game. I think their defense should be able to handle this, very kind of beaten down Chiefs offense. And I think this Broncos offense should play pretty well against this also beaten down Chiefs defense with the injuries that both sides of the ball are dealing with. So give me the Denver Broncos to win this game. Now, moving on to, we also have some Saturday games this week. First up on Saturday, you have the Houston Texans, who are 10-5, coming off of a very close victory over the Vegas Raiders, taking on the LA Chargers, who are 11-4, coming off of their victory over the Dallas Cowboys. In that game, it was actually the first time all season that Justin Herbert had not been sacked. In that game, Marion Hampton played very well. Their rookie running back that's still just a few weeks back from playing again after he had an ankle injury that cost him to miss a big portion of the season. For the Texans, their defense continues to play very well. They got a pick six against the Raiders this past week. Their offense has been looking better. They should have running back Woody Marks back for this game, who did not play in the Raiders game. CJ Stroud continues to look good. Nico Collins continues to have some pretty good games. I think this game should be fairly good, but I think that the big difference maker in this game is going to be the Houston Texans defense and their ability to get after Justin Herbert. This Chargers offensive line is very beaten up. As their two starting offensive tackles, they've been missing Rashawn Slater for the whole season, and they're missing Joe Alt for a bulk of the season. So their offensive line is very beaten up, kind of put together. I think that this Houston Texans defensive front should take advantage of that offensive line, should pressure Justin Herbert, make him make some bad decisions, make him make some bad throws. I think the Texans offense should be able to capitalize on whatever their defense can set them up for. So I do think the Houston Texans get the victory over the LA Chargers. Next up, your Saturday night game, you have the Baltimore Ravens, who are 7-8, coming off of a loss to the New England Patriots, take on the Green Bay Packers, who are 9-5-1, coming off of a loss to the Chicago Bears last week. The Packers are a team that is fighting for their playoff lives. Right now, they're sitting at the 7th seed, but if they slip up, the Lions have a chance to overtake them and knock them out of the playoffs. For the Ravens, they do still have a shot in the division. They would have to win out and need the Steelers to drop one of their next two games. The Ravens do still have a chance if they can win this game. For the Ravens, it's unclear as to whether or not Lamar Jackson will play in this game, as he left the Patriots game with a back injury. Looks like it's just some sort of back contusion, so he's considered day-to-day. Still unclear as to whether or not he'll play in this game. For the Green Bay Packers, they could be without starting quarterback Jordan Love, who left the Bears game with a concussion. So it could be Malik Willis versus Tyler Huntley in this game. Both of these teams have very good run games. Derrick Henry and for the Ravens, Josh Jacobs for the Packers. Both these teams have pretty good defenses. Should be, I think, a fairly even matchup. But I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers to win this game. Their defense for 99% of the game against the Bears shut them down until literally the last few minutes of the game. And then crazy stuff happened with an onside kick and overtime for the Bears to get the victory. The Baltimore Ravens, they just have not been able to put together a whole game. Their offense makes mistakes, turns the ball over. So I think the Green Bay Packers should be able to run the ball pretty effectively against this team. Should be able to get the ball out to Jaden Reed and Christian Watson for some big plays. And I think defensively should be able to kind of slow down this Ravens offense, especially because for whatever reason the Ravens refuse to just get Derrick Henry going and like consistently feed him the ball, and that has absolutely cost them this season. I think it will continue to cost them against the Green Bay Packers. Give me the Packers to get the victory over the Baltimore Ravens. Next up, moving on to your Sunday games, you have the Arizona Cardinals, who are 3-12, coming off of a loss to the Atlanta Falcons, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 5-10, coming off of a victory over the Miami Dolphins. Both these teams have struggled this season. The Cardinals have actually looked better with Jacoby Brissett, but this past week against the Falcons, the whole team looked kind of sluggish. Couldn't really get anything going too much. The first time it's the worst game Jacoby Brissett played as a starter, and he's played against some pretty tough defenses. For the Bengals, they put up a bunch of points against the Dolphins. Joe Burrow was playing great. T. Higgins, Ja'Marr Chase were playing fantastic against this Dolphins defense. So I do think the Cincinnati Bengals get the victory. I just trust their offense more to put up points. They're a team that still seems to be competing despite being out of the playoffs. The Cardinals haven't really been competing all that much as they've been losing. So give me the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Cardinals. Next up, you have the Seattle Seahawks, who are 12-3, coming off of an overtime victory over the LA Rams last week to put them into the number 1 seed in the NFC for now, taking on the Carolina Panthers, who are 8-7 and leading the NFC South. And Panthers are 1 win away from winning their division. Panthers are the definition of their very back and forth team. For the Seahawks, they are playing great football. Their defense is playing well. Sam Darnold continues to play well. Kenneth Walker coming off of a very, very good game against the Rams. Obviously, JSN has been one of the top receivers in the NFL this year. So I do think the Seahawks get the victory here. I think it could be, very competitive. The Panthers are a team that beat the Rams a few weeks ago when the Rams were playing at the top of their game, and the Rams were looking like the best team in the NFL. So the Panthers are a sneaky good team that could, keep it close and could grind out a win. But I think Seattle gets it done here against Carolina. Next up, you have an AFC North matchup as the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 9-6, trying to lock up their division. Mike Tomlin, once again, guaranteed not to have a losing season. So that streak continues the entire time he's been the coach of the Steelers. So since 2007, has never had a losing season. That continues. They're taking on the Cleveland Browns, who are 3-12, coming off a very close loss to the Buffalo Bills. For the Browns, they are going to be without their starting running back, rookie Quinshon Judkins. He suffered a pretty severe leg injury in that Bills game, so he's done for the rest of the year. Myles Garrett is 1 sack away from breaking the NFL sack record for a season. I think he can get that done this week against the Steelers team. For the Steelers, DK Metcalf is suspended for the final 2 games for an altercation he had with a fan at the Lions game the other day. Even without DK, I still think the Pittsburgh Steelers get the victory here. I think their run game, their running backs are incredibly talented and have been playing great this season with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell actually leads them in receiving this season, so he, can more than make up for the lack of DK Metcalf and make some plays in the receiving game. They also have, 3 very good tight ends that can make plays in Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington. So I think their offense, even without DK, should play fine. I think their defense should be able to, disrupt Shedeur Sanders, who, in his own right, has played well this season, but has, especially late in games when he's pressured, made some mistakes. So I think the Steelers can make some mistakes. So I do think that Pittsburgh gets the victory over the Cleveland Browns. Next up, you have the New Orleans Saints, who are 5-10, coming off of a victory over the New York Jets, taking on the Tennessee Titans, who are 3-12, coming off their victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a team where it's a battle of two rookie quarterbacks, as you have Cam Ward, the number one overall pick for the Tennessee Titans, taking on Tyler Shuck, the second round pick for the Saints, who has kind of been, he's played very well since he's taking over as the starter from Spencer Rattler. He's been keeping the Saints team competitive. The Saints defense has been playing terrific for most of the season. For the Titans, they've been on a bit of a roll lately. A few weeks ago, beat the Browns in a very shootout type of game. Been able to keep some games close, be competitive. But I do think the New Orleans Saints get the victory here. I think it could be a close game. I think this could be actually kind of a more of an exciting game than people think. But New Orleans, their defense is playing tremendous. Tyler Shuck is playing very well. Chris Olave is coming on. Taysom Hill, they've been getting him involved more, especially this past week with Devin Neal and Alvin Kamara, their two starting running backs, being injured. So I do think the Saints get the victory over the Tennessee Titans. Next up, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 11-4, coming off of their win over the Broncos, taking on the Indianapolis Colts, who are 8-7, coming off of a competitive loss to the San Francisco 49ers. For the Colts, see they're rolling with Phillip Rivers as their starting quarterback the past couple weeks. Going to this game, looks like he'll probably be the starter again. So, he has played well. He played way better against the 49ers than he did against the Seahawks a couple weeks ago. But he's been keeping this Colts team competitive. Jonathan Taylor continues to play well, but he's kind of slowed down as the season has gone on. He hasn't been playing as well as he has at the beginning of the season. This Colts defense couldn't really stop anything the Niners wanted to do. And this Jaguars team, their offense is clicking. Trevor Lawrence is playing on an MVP level right now. If he'd been playing like this earlier in the year, he'd probably be in contention for MVP. Travis Etienne is playing very well. Their defense is very underrated and playing very good as of late. So I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars get the victory here. It's a divisional matchup, so anything can happen. But I think the Jaguars are just far and away right now the better team compared to the Colts. Give me Jacksonville to beat Indy. Moving on, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 7-8, coming off of a loss to the Carolina Panthers, taking on the Miami Dolphins, who are 6-9, coming off of a loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Dolphins, going into the week of the Bengals game, benched Tua Tagovailoa, so they were rolling with Quinn Ewers in that Bengals game, and though he did not play terrible, he had 2 interceptions, turned the ball over. Devon Achane continues to play very well. This Dolphins defense continues to struggle as they have most of the season. For the Buccaneers, their offense has played great the past few weeks. They got Mike Evans back a few weeks ago from his concussion/collarbone injury that kept him out for a bulk of the season. It's kept him out since when they played the Lions. Chris Godwin has been playing well, coming off of getting more playing time coming off of his ankle injury. Bucky Irving is back and playing well. Baker Mayfield has had his struggles, but he's still playing pretty good football. This defense has struggled as of late, but I think they should play fine against this Dolphins team with Quinn Ewers starting at quarterback again. So I do think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get the victory over the Miami Dolphins. Next up, you have an AFC East battle as the New England Patriots, who are 12-3, coming off of a victory over the Baltimore Ravens, take on the New York Jets, who were 3-12, coming off of their loss to the New Orleans Saints. The Patriots in this game could be without both Travion Henderson and Kayshon Boutte, as they are both in concussion protocol right now. But I do trust that with no Travion, that Ramondre Stevenson can, be a more than capable running back. He's been their starting running back before. He's been splitting time with Travion since he's come back from his injury. So I think he should have a pretty good game against this team. Drake May is still playing great football. Stephon Diggs had a very good game against the Ravens after having handful of pretty lackluster games. But without Keishawn Boutte, they've still got Kyle Williams they can throw to. They got Mac Hollins, who's kind of been their kind of like third down big play receiver, and they need just somebody to make a crucial catch. Mac Hollins, the guy they've gone to, and he's played well. This defense, I think, should play great against the Jets, who are starting Brady Cook for the third game in a row. So I do think the New England Patriots get the victory over the New York Jets. Next up, you have a battle for the number one overall pick as the New York Giants, who are 2-13, coming off of their loss to the Vikings, take on the Vegas Raiders, who are 2-13, coming off of their loss to the Texans. The Raiders just recently placed Brock Bowers, their starting tight end, their number one offensive weapon, on injured reserve, so he's out for the rest of the season. This offense has struggled. Geno Smith has thrown an interception in I think almost every game that he's started this season. So they haven't played great. Their defense has had struggles, but the Giants team hasn't been a whole lot better. They've kind of been struggling as of late, been on a bit of a skid. Jackson Dart continues to play okay. He had a horrendous game against the Vikings, unfortunately. Their offense struggled against Minnesota. Their defense continues to play pretty good. I think just based on the strength of the defense and the fact that Jackson Dart can make plays, I'm going to go with the Giants to win the ball game here, but I think this could be a very sloppy game. It could be a pretty ugly game, but I think the Giants can get themselves a victory. Next up, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 10-5, coming off of their win over the Washington Commanders, taking on the Buffalo Bills, who are 11-4, coming off their win over the Cleveland Browns. Both of these teams have played very great throughout the season, but have also had games where they've very much played down to their competition. Obviously, the Bills played down to the Browns this past week. The Eagles have definitely had games where they've had their defense has played great, but their offense has very much struggled. For the Bills, there's been games where Josh Allen has had to take over the game. Him and James Cook have been most of the Bills' offense for a lot of their victories this season. Their defense has had their own struggles. So I think both of these teams should be able to run the ball, as both teams' run defenses have not been great. I think this game could come down to whichever quarterback plays the best, whichever quarterback makes the fewer mistakes. So I'm going to give the edge to Josh Allen and the Bills in this game. I just like Josh Allen. If you put the game in the hands of Josh Allen, I like him to come out and get a victory and trust him more to get a victory than I would trust Jalen Hurts. So give me the Bills to win this game. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, you have the Chicago Bears, who are 11-4, coming off of their victory over the Green Bay Packers, taking on the San Francisco 49ers, who are also 11-4, coming off of their victory over the Indianapolis Colts. These are two teams that are playing very well. Their offenses playing terrific. For the Niners, obviously Christian McCaffrey is playing fantastic. He is on his way to possibly being able to get his second ever 1,000 season with 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards. Brock Purdy coming off of a game where he threw 5 touchdowns against the Colts. However, they could either not have George Kittle for this game, or George Kittle could be playing very limited capacity as he is dealing with an ankle sprain. And that just adds to their list of their list of injury issues. So if he's out, Jake Tonjes can play well. He's their backup tight end. They also have Juwan Jennings, who isn't playing very well. Their defense has had their struggles because they're dealing with a bunch of injuries, as they have gone the bulk of the season without their two best defensive players, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. But their defense has kind of been able to just do enough to win football games. For the Bears, their offense has also been banged up. They've been without Rome Odunze and Luther Burton, two of their receivers the past few weeks, but their run game isn't playing very well, with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai really coming on. In the back half of this season, Caleb Williams has played very good football. Their rookie tight end Colton Loveland has been playing well. Their defense has got healthy, so the defense has been playing a lot better since their star players have come back. I think this is a game that could be very close, could be a very entertaining game, but I think that the Bears can sneak out a win over the 49ers here. So I do have Chicago winning this game over the 49ers. Finally, moving on to Monday Night Football, you have the LA Rams, who are 11-4, taking on coming off their overtime loss to the Seattle Seahawks, taking on the Atlanta Falcons, who are 6-9, coming off of their victory over the Arizona Cardinals. The Falcons are a team that has gone the past few weeks with no Michael Penix, so they've been rocking with Kirk Cousins as their starting quarterback. Their receiving corps has been banged up with Drake London missing a few games, but he came back and played last week, but didn't really do a whole lot against the Cardinals. Darnell Mooney has been banged up, so David Sills has been getting a lot of work at receiver. Obviously, still have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier in the run game to kind of carry their offense. Surprisingly, Kyle Pitts has had a good couple of weeks. And defensively, they've kind of been struggling. The Buccaneers put up, I think, 28 points on them. The defense played well against the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are kind of given up by that point. Now, for the Rams, they're a team that is still playing very good, although they did come up short against the Seattle Seahawks last week. Matthew Stafford still playing well. Puka Nacua continues to play great. They're two-headed monster running back with Kyren Williams, and Blake Corum is also playing very well. They looks like they are going to be without Devontae Adams again. They're probably going to be without him for the next couple games as they get ready for the playoffs. The Rams are a team that are still fighting for their division. If the Seahawks slip up somewhere and the Rams win out, they still have a chance to get their division, possibly have a chance at the 1 seed. So the Rams defense also been playing very well. So I do think the Rams get the victory over the Atlanta Falcons. They have just been playing too well. They're playing much better than the Falcons are. They have still a lot to play for, just even within their own division, although they are locked into a playoff spot. They can still get better seeding. So I do like the Rams to win the game here. So that's who I have winning this week. Let me know in the comments who you guys have. Let me know what games you're excited for. I'm excited to see, Bears 49ers. They're two very good teams. Eagles Bills. Kind of excited for that Texans Chargers game and the playoff implications that can happen from that one. But let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time. See you.